गुड मॉर्निंग बच्चों, मैं आपका अब्दुल सलाम आया हूं आज एक नए टॉपिक के साथ रेस्पिरेशन इन ऑर्गेनिजम्स। सो आपको पता है फ्रॉम स्टैंडर्ड 7 आफ्टर हैप्पीली इट इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक। सो चलिए शुरू करते हैं रेस्पिरेशन के साथ, रेस्पिरेशन इन ऑर्गेनिज्म। सो पूरे पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट आज शुरू करेंगे। सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन, रेस्पिरेशन, व्हाट इज रेस्पिरेशन? So respiration is the process. It is a what? It is a process. और ये प्रोसेस कहां होता है? ये प्रोसेस आपके सेल्स में होता है। So what is the process? The process in which the simplest food is broken down. Simplest food is broken down to release energy. Got it? So respiration is the process in which the simplest food is broken down to release energy. Clear? So where this process takes place? This process takes place in cells, and because of which this is also called as what? This process is also known as cellular रेस्पिरेशन। इसको क्या बोला जाता है? सेलुलर रेस्पिरेशन बोला जाता है। सो एक बात तो आप समझ गए। सो रेस्पिरेशन क्या होता है? सो रेस्पिरेशन इज द प्रोसेस इन विच आवर फूड, वॉट एवर फूड गॉट डाइजेस्टेड, आफ्टर डाइजेशन इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म। यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड दिस वन इन द न्यूट्रिशन चैप्टर। ऑलरेडी आप न्यूट्रिशन चैप्टर में पढ़ चुके हो कि जो फूड हम लोग खाते हैं, in different parts and different organ, the food get converted into simplest food, and after conversion it got absorbed by our body. Then उसके बाद हम लोग पढ़ेंगे absorption के बाद जो simpler food है, from that simpler food energy is taken out, and where this energy is taken out? This energy is taken out in the cells. ठीक है, ये समझ में आया? नेक्स्ट पार्ट, अगर हमें पता चल गया कि रेस्पिरेशन से हमें एनर्जी मिलता है, रेस्पिरेशन से हमें क्या मिलता है? रेस्पिरेशन से हमें एनर्जी मिलता है। सो व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट प्रोसेस टू टेक आउट एनर्जी इन डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनिजम्स? सो उसके लिए हमको क्या पढ़ना पड़ेगा? टाइप्स ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन। तो उसके लिए हमें क्या पढ़ना पड़ेगा? रेस्पिरेशन के टाइप्स पढ़ने पड़ेंगे। क्लियर? So respiration is divided into two types. First one, aerobic respiration, and the second one is anaerobic respiration. So these are the two respiratory processes in which the food is broken down to release energy. इन बोथ द केसेस, दोनों केसेस में सेम होता है, वही फूड ब्रेक डाउन होता है या तो कन्वर्ट होता है टू डिफरेंट अदर थिंग्स अलोंग विथ टू रिलीज एनर्जी। क्लियर? नेक्स्ट हम पढ़ेंगे एरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन के बारे में, देन विल गो फर्दर। नाउ come to the next part of this topic, that is aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. So what is this aerobic respiration? So aerobic means, aero means in presence of air, in presence of air means the respiration which takes place in presence of air. Clear? The respiration which takes place in the presence of air. I mean to say, this process continues in the presence of oxygen. So oxygen plays a vital role in this process. So oxygen further breaks down the simpler food to release energy. So aerobic respiration may be defined as the process in which the food is broken down in the cells in the presence of oxygen. Clear? if you want to write the equation about this equation, you can write this. The glucose or the simpler food C6H12O6 in presence of oxygen is broken down in the cells to release carbon dioxide along with water molecules along with energy 38 ATP. Clear? So this is the equation of aerobic respiration, and as we know, this takes place in the cells. Which component did it? The mitochondrion. In higher class we study in detail about this cell part that is called as mitochondria. So in the mitochondria, the simpler food glucose in presence of oxygen is broken down into carbon dioxide, water molecule along with ATP. Next, what do you mean by this ATP? The full form of this ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so these are the energy packets. So what do you mean by energy packets? Energy packets means whatever energy is released from our food, first it gets stored in this one. Then whenever our body requires that energy, that our body releases or get the energy from this ATP. Clear? So during aerobic respiration we get 38 ATP. So we human beings, different kind of mammals, so many kind of animals, they get energy by the process of this aerobic respiration, because we know we take in air while breathing, then releases carbon dioxide. So in human beings, this breathing process also a part of respiratory system. Clear? Now the next part, that is what? Anaerobic respiration. So first, what do you mean by anaerobic respiration? So the respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic means what? The respiration takes place in the absence of air, or we can say that in absence of oxygen. Okay, but this is not actually completely correct. So anaerobic respiration may take place either in the absence of oxygen, or sometimes due to insufficient supply of oxygen. Okay, aerobic respiration takes place, because of which this aerobic respiration may be divided into two different categories. So let's divide it, then study it. First one, in absence of oxygen, completely, when there is no oxygen, or there are so many microorganisms. So one thing you got, this anaerobic respiration mainly takes place in the microorganisms, or the organisms which are extremely small or made up of single cell or unicellular organisms. So first thing is that in the absence of oxygen. So what we got to know? This glucose C6H12O6, in the absence of oxygen, this glucose break down partially. First thing you have to note it down, during anaerobic respiration, this simpler food is not broken down completely. As we studied in aerobic respiration, the glucose is completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water molecule. But here in this case, in the absence of oxygen, this glucose is broken down partially to give a product known as ethanol. Just remember the name along with the formula, ethanol. Okay, the C6H12O6 broken down partially to form ethanol along with 2 ATP. Here you can see the difference. In aerobic respiration, it is around 38 ATP, and in this anaerobic respiration, it is around 2 ATP only. So here the energy release is less. Why? Because this glucose is not completely broken down. It is broken down partially to form a product along with ATP. This generally takes place in microorganisms like yeast, some bacterium, okay, which undergo this anaerobic respiration. If you come to the second part, due to the insufficient supply of oxygen. Okay, let's come to this. Try to understand this. What is this? Suppose you are playing outside. आप बाहर खेल रहे हो, कंटिन्यूसली आप खेल रहे हो. ओके, जब आप ज्यादा देर तक खेलते हो तो एक चीज आपको क्या लगता है? यू स्टार्टेड ब्रीदिंग फास्टर. कभी सोचा है आप ज्यादा सांसें क्यों लेने की कोशिश कर रहे हो? क्यों? Why? Because when we work out or when we do some heavy exercise like gaming or playing outdoor games, okay, we start breathing faster. Reason simple है. That time our body require more oxygen along with more energy supply. आपके बॉडी को ज्यादा एनर्जी चाहिए होता है, इसलिए उसको ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन की जरूरत पड़ती है. इसलिए हम ज्यादा सांस लेने से क्या होता है? ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन हम लोग इनटेक कर पाते हैं, सो दैट वी कैन गेट मोर एनर्जी. ठीक है, बट इन सम केसेस some of our body cells may not get sufficient amount of oxygen. हमारे कुछ बॉडी सेल्स ऐसे भी होते हैं जिनको sufficient amount of oxygen नहीं मिल पाता है. तो वो क्या होता है? In those cells, again, this simpler food C6H12O6 again broken down partially to form another product known as lactic acid. Along with same 2 ATP molecules. So यहाँ पे भी आपने देखा, due to insufficient supply of oxygen in our muscle cells, this glucose is broken down into lactic acid. So यहाँ पे भी क्या हुआ? Insufficient oxygen होने के कारण this glucose may not broken down completely. This glucose broken down partially to form another product known as lactic acid, which give rise to muscular cramps or highly painful muscular cramps. Clear? These muscular pains are highly painful due to the presence of or due to the deposition of lactic acid in those areas. Clear? So this is everything about aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And from this anaerobic respiration, we got one thing, that this glucose in both the cases, whether maybe the absence of oxygen out there, whether due to the insufficient supply of oxygen is there, in both the cases, this glucose is broken down partially, not completely. In first case, it gives rise to a product known as ethanol along with 2 ATP, and in second case it gives rise to lactic acid along with 2 ATP. Clear?